pushed the wrong button. Meeting is called to order. It's 5:30. And first item is roll call.
Eleanor Buckley.
Here.
Terry McBride.
Present.
Karen Aboud.
Present.
Danielle Cook.
Here.
Barbara Dineo.
Present.
Sandra Nagel.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We now have an opportunity for public comment. There's a 3-minute time limit, and it is to discuss any topic relevant to the commission.
Gorgeous color.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you for the opportunity. Sharon Ross, Capital City Arts Initiative. I'm passing out the essay for our exhibition that's over at the Courthouse Gallery by Chelsea Pegram. It was written by Erin Harbour, who's a colleague of hers from Oakland. And by the way, both of them survived that Oakland fire. And I don't know if you've been to any meetings. I know several of you have, but if you haven't been to any meetings in the Sierra Room since mid-November, we have a new exhibition up here by Amelia Currier. They're monoprints, and she's from Reno, and we hope you enjoy them. They'll be up through late February. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other comments?
Good evening. We are still working on the agenda, on the process to go through with this arch.
Can you say your name, please?
I'm sorry, Doreen Mack
And I'm Sam Flakus.
with Downtown 2020 Group, president of Downtown 2020 Group. Sam's on that group.
And I'm the designer of the arch, of the downtown arch that is being proposed for going on the corners of 5th and Carson and Williams and Carson. And we just wanted to update the board on what our progress is on that project. We have been talking to Q&D, the construction contractor, about what it would possibly cost to build something like that. And also, we've been putting our feelers out for engineers and trying to figure out how much it would cost for planning and engineering and permitting. We know that Q&D quoted us at $315,000 for construction, but that does not include permitting, engineering, or planning. Doreen, do you have anything else?
No, that's about it, but we are still working on this, and we hope to bring this back to the table, and hopefully March that we will have all this put together. So that's our plan. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Next item is approval of the agenda from the September meeting. Minutes, I'm sorry.
I have a correction to the minutes under marketing update, the second bullet point, second sentence from the end. It's the greenhouse project, not the greenhouse garden project. That needs to be corrected.
And I have a correction on my correction to the last minutes. It was misunderstood that Cindy Brenneman's name is spelled with 2 Y's, so it's incorrect here again.
Would you spell it?
C-Y-N-D-Y. Any other corrections?
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the minutes with the corrections as stated for the meeting of September 20th, 2016.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next item is adoption of the agenda for today. And as already mentioned, item number 9 is tabled until the March meeting. Are there any other modifications to the agenda? Okay. Do we need to vote on? No, okay.
No, you don't.
Okay, next, Joel Dunn will introduce Janet Geary.
It came to our attention that we were going to have the opportunity to have a change in the representation that comes to the board from the State Department of Tourism and Culture. And although she won't be able to sit into this meeting, and we'll bring her in front of the Board of Supervisors for approval during one of their January meetings. But it's my honor to introduce Janet Geary. I've worked with Janet for several years now as the editor and publisher of the Nevada Magazine, and she brings great wealth and knowledge to the board, and I look forward to working with her, as does Mark Salinas. So wanted to introduce Janet, and thank you. I was excited when Claudia told us who her replacement appointee would be on the board, and welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any comment from the public?
I have a comment, and that is just to thank Nevada Magazine for the latest edition and the expose on the Stewart Indian School, which was 8 pages long, so that's terrific. Thanks.
We next have an update on the policies, procedures, and best practices documents for the arts plan. And Mark?
Hello. As a prelude to this, I just want to say I've been organizing my times and efforts the past 10 weeks on sort of a 3-tier approach to interpreting the master plan. On one end of the spectrum is public art and working with the DA's office on that structure and the system. I've been comparing what we have to other cities nationwide, Sacramento, Portland, Reno, St. Louis, New York, but also rural capitals in Idaho, Montana, and Nebraska. And comparing what they have, I think it's always important to see what the neighbors are doing so we can customize our framework to fit Carson City. On the other end of that spectrum is I've been spending my time sort of taking inventory of the arts and cultural assets of Carson City. I think it's important to build a community infrastructure built upon these assets, and I've been doing a lot of meets and greets with the community to sort of listen to what they need. Mining a lot of information, watching past Cultural Commission videos and reading minutes and trying to catch up with everything. And I'm very honored, as an aside, I'm very honored to be finally here having seen the history of it all. And then somewhere in the middle of that is researching third-party grants. And so among those 3 paths, there'll be 3 destinations to accruing public art for Carson City. One will be through the lease, rent, purchase, or loan of public works, and that'll be through combined efforts of local agencies. The second method will be through RAC regrants via the Cultural Commission's recommendations. And the third method will be through temporary works funded by those third-party grants that I would independently research and write. So each of these 3 paths will require its own map of communication and policy. For example, public art panels wouldn't necessarily be needed for something that I would write a grant for that would be temporary. But my goal is, working with the DA's office, to clarify, simplify, and streamline each route, not only for the applicants, but also for artists, the organizations, and the panelists.
So moving forward, I think right now with having it still in draft form, as the commission was aware, the DA's office took it under their umbrella to look at the legalese of the policies and procedures. most importantly, we did not want to stall the efforts of a couple of the projects that are out there that the community is waiting on. So in looking at what Mark and Iris have both worked on with the DA's office, I believe that we can move forward and allow some of the projects that really have an umbrella spread across not only doing a call to artists, but also having contracts, having risk management involved, some of those panels with the city. That'll help us define how Carson City policies will be set in place. But as Mark mentioned, I think most importantly, in order to move forward with one of our first projects, we need to have, first of all, the path based on the funding. We are still hoping to have a finalized draft to you as a commission for approval to make recommendation to the Board of Supervisors in the March meeting. There'll be a draft form to you. Hopefully, we were hoping to get it in January, but I have to say that right now in looking at the municipal code, I think that there's some concerns if we're truly following maybe some of the muni code. So we won't have it back for the January 9th meeting, so we'll shoot for the March meeting for you. And I think we have to leave it at that tonight. That would be the update on the policies and procedures.
I'd just like to add that we realize that the Muni Code was written in 2008, and we've evolved since then, which is nice.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the Board of Supervisors did go back and look at quite a few of the advisory boards, and this is one of those that didn't fall under that microscope. So, you know, I think we've got a little bit of work to do on the back end before we set policies and procedures.
Thank you, Mark and Joel. Any comments from the public? I think we're making good progress here. Next is an update on the Nevada Arts Council, and Shoshana is here, and Mark will also talk about this, the results of the Arts Town meetings we had. Is this just the Carson City or all of them?
I was just planning to talk about the Carson City one, but I don't have with me all the notes from the other meetings, but I can provide a summary of that if you would like it. Up to you. So many of you were at the Artstown meeting on October 25th. Thank you to the Visitors Bureau and the brewery for hosting. We had about 50 people at the meeting, 20 different organizations represented, so it's a really great turnout. And some of the outcomes, I think, echoed. I kind of did a side-by-side comparison of 2014 to the meeting we just had this year, and I brought copies of that if you'd like it. But a lot of what was kind of focused on at the 2014 meeting was about communications, marketing, advocacy. And some of that was still really important, clearly, at this meeting. There was definitely a desire for more communications, more coordination amongst organizations. And then also just a real vision to have a vibrant arts community. That was something that was really clear at the meeting we had in October that wasn't really there 2 years ago. So I think that's really exciting, that there was that enthusiasm. And there's kind of some specifics. I have the longer notes and shorter notes, so everyone can look through that. But thinking about different ways of public engagement through programming and public art, taking out of traditional spaces was something that came up. A signature event and affordable live workspaces for artists. So I think that's all. Do you have anything, Mark?
As most of us know, next year will be the 50th anniversary of the Nevada Arts Council, and it's been a pleasure working with them in my 10 weeks here, and I look forward to building strong relationships with them. I was so happy to see so many large diversity there among those 50 people. I mean, we had elected officials, we had artists, we had educators, and I can say, personally speaking, that I walked away from that meeting with about 3 further meetings that have gained traction in some of my other side projects that I've been doing. So I look forward to, I think Shoshana and I sort of compared notes and saw the correlation between 2014 and 2016. And I think I said to her earlier that I hope, you know, the next time that there's a survey like that, it's not, the critique is not that we do not have it, it's just that we wish we had more of it. So the goal is to establish it going forward. So thank you.
Great, yeah, thank you.
I think one of the benefits is it showed how much further we had come since the previous one, that we weren't repeating the same things that we wanted because we already have achieved some of them. Are there any comments from the public? Okay, we are skipping item 9 and going up to item 10, update on the artistic bike rack project.
Okay, just to give a little bit of historical on this, this is an opportunity that we partnered not only with the Visitors Bureau, City of Carson City, but now the Cultural Commission with Muscle Powered. When the city decided to implement bike racks throughout the downtown corridor, there was an opportunity provided Muscle Powered if they were to get private donors that we could have artistic bike racks. And these are bike racks that are more art-informed that can function as a bike rack. So I wanted to make sure that not only for the Cultural Commission, but also for the general public, that we let them know where the process is. I mentioned in the policies and procedures that we did have at least one major project that was kind of on hold right now that would help us define the policies and procedures. This is that project. This project will allow us to do a call to artists. We'll be looking at contractual agreements, not only with artists, but also with certified welders. We'll have a panel put together with Public Works, city engineers, risk management. It really showcases everything that we're going to have to do with a major project, an art project for public art in Carson City. I believe that when we come back in March to you, we'll be able to move forward with the project. That project, once again, will then help us define the processes we follow. We'll follow common practices moving forward between now and March, but come March, we'll be able to establish the Carson City policies on a public art project of that magnitude. So Muscle Powered, we're moving forward with your bike rack project. We're going to have 30 artistic bike racks throughout the downtown corridor, and I'm hoping that we have some of those at least constructed, installed before the Epic Rides event comes in June. So that's your update. Any questions?
Very good. It's nice to see that moving on. Are there any comments?
Question.
Question.
I have a question. Will we have an opportunity to review the paperwork that's attached to all of these various ideas and projects prior to sitting down at one of these meetings?
Yeah, as a matter of record, you'll always have these, at least the required, we'll always try to be the Wednesday before the meeting. And at any time we have in draft form as part of the agenda posting, it'll come to you ahead of time, not only in an email, but also in printed in a packet and available at any time at the Bureau.
Thanks.
And at that same time that it's available to you, it's also available to the public.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, now we have a series of non-action items. First is Mark's report on the Arts and Culture Coordinator. What's been happening?
Did you want to take public comment on the last one? Or was that your intention?
I
The
think
bike
I had
rack?
already.
You asked if there were any comments, but it kind of seemed like that was more from the commission.
Another opportunity for comments from the public about the bike racks. Okay.
Okay, great. So this is my opportunity to give a little detail about those three paths that I've been working on. Regarding the master plan, as you know, I've been working with the DA's office. Recently, I was able to go to UNR to see the installation of Michelle O'Reilly's Head of Da Vinci, which we've been discussing about one of the possible future leases of that artwork. In seeing the installation, I was able to understand the complexity of it, and I was able to get documents on the cost of it too. So as we move forward with those policies, we already have some knowledge in our pocket going forward with that. As far as inventory and infrastructure, I recently started a Carson City Arts Instagram account, and this is sort of my lens of focus diary of Carson City and trying to identify arts and culture, some things that may be overseen by by others, but something that I appreciate and trying to promote. Been working with a couple of groups on brokering a new and interesting art walk. I've been working with the Adams Hub and the museum and trying to coordinate actually plotted route. And that would also go through the Visitors Bureau, as in February we're going to be opening up a installation of Great Basin native artists that will run year-round. So we're excited for that as well. As you know, on November 12th, we took a tour of the Stewart Indian School on an educational tour of the campus, and my thanks goes out to Sherry Rupert for that extraordinary, insightful tour. I mean, it was educational and emotional and quite stunning at times. So I think that's a real asset that I think all of us are looking forward to developing. I have a big pet project, and I'll share that with you, and it's called the Carson City Arts and Culture Ambassador Program. I've been working with a couple of organizations and trying to broker an educational internship stipend funded by grants that I would write, which sort of expands our vocabulary of what we think arts could be. Typically, I think most people consider arts as visual arts, but it also incorporates performing arts, culinary arts, literary arts, and of course the cultural aspect, the historical aspect of Carson City. So this paid internship would allow screened applicants, juniors and seniors, I'm thinking, an exclusive opportunity to intern 2 months at each rotating location. It'd be an unparalleled educational experience. And I anticipate holding workshops at the Adams Hub, who's been agreeable to this. Some of the organizations I've reached out to is, of course, the Carson City High School, Nevada State Museum, the library, the Greenhouse, Brewery Arts Center, Stewart Indian School, and the Adams Hub. So I'll keep you posted on how that develops. As you know, when our youth graduate, they're either going to further education or find employment, and all things equal, something like this is a real step in the right direction on either path. In the third category, grants for programming and outreach. Earlier in 2016, the city grants writer had written a NEA grant for the Cultural Commission. So on November 7th, I learned that we did not receive that grant. So there's an update for that. However, in the past 10 weeks, I have written and applied for 2 grants, and I'll share those with you right now. One is a mural grant through the National Association of Latino Arts and Cultures. This was a grant I wrote, and let me just step by saying, you know, this third category is based upon these meetings I have with organizations. Not only the usual suspects of artists, galleries, and museums, but that outer shell of the community that we need to incorporate, and that's the Hispanic community, the Native American community, it's the libraries, it's the educational system, it's the seniors. This mural grant was an outreach to the Western Nevada College's Latino cohort organization, and the concept there was to create a mural inspired by Mexican embroidery patterns for next year's Hispanic Heritage Month, which would be in September. A second grant that I applied for is through Vans Custom Culture, if you're familiar with Vans, the West Coast sneaker. And that was a project with the Pioneer High School, who actually was in attendance for the NAC meeting. And that was a concept to create a temporary tattoo mural based upon, you know, counterculture and you know, applying these methods of illustrating vintage and antique memorabilia and how we can sort of adapt that into a creative mural. Lastly, I'm working on an NEA grant called the Big Read Grant, and that's in cooperation with the library and the State Museum. Every year, the NEA chooses 28 novels, and they challenge communities to build a month-long program around one of these novels. So the novel that we're going after is Charles Portis's True Grit. And it happens within a time frame that a lot of interesting things were going on here in the region, and I think it's a good fit for the city. My proposal probably incorporates 10 local businesses, corporations, entities here in Carson outside of the library and museum. The due date is in late January. I'm not going to spill the beans on it just yet, but I'm working on that over the holiday, and I'll be eager to tell you what happens in March. Lastly, just a reminder that we meet January 9th, Mondays in 2017 at 5:30. At that time, we'll also be voting for a chair and co-chair. And happy holidays.
Thank you, Mark. And what are you doing in your spare time? And you probably know that Carson City's been involved in the Big Read at least twice before that I know of.
My research showed that only twice in the state of Nevada has cities been awarded that, and that was usually in the first couple of years, I want to say in the early 2000s, Reno's library and Las Vegas's library. So Carson City has not won this award just yet.
I guess we were part of it without having a grant for it. Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the public? Okay, Joel.
Okay, just a quick update from the Visitors Bureau. We had our meeting last Monday, and I was happy to continue to report that room revenues are up. You know, we were concerned coming into a non-legislative year that we wouldn't see the marked increases that we've seen over the course of the 4 years of our rebranding. We do a lot of comps regionally, and we've continued to stay pretty, we're the top of the game. We're the top of the pyramid. We're marginally higher than all of the other bureaus. Reno was about 2% below us. Everyone else were double digits above. So I think Reno and Carson City were both mirroring that effort of Nevada Commission on Tourism, showcasing our outdoor recreation component, also now with our arts and culture. But the benefit in that report, I think we were up in the first course of 3 months this fiscal year, up almost $500,000 in room revenue. That means more money for the arts and cultural campaign. Although that 1%, I think we originally were looking at anywhere from $150,000 upwards of $160,000. If we stay on this, we'll have more money to work with. So I'll continue to bring updates. Kyle will always touch on, and he touches on next, is the marketing component that ties in with the arts and culture campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Do we get comments on each of these, or can we do them as a group at the end?
It should be on each because the other ones were on each, as long as we're consistent.
Okay. Any comments about the Visitors Bureau update? Okay, next is Kyle, a marketing update.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me. My report's going to be pretty brief tonight, but knowing what Mark's been working on, what the future for the arts in Carson City is, really looking forward to some lengthy reports on the marketing efforts of all these great projects that are coming down the pike. So, you know, summertime, you know, we run pretty hard, you know, just trying to keep our head above water. In the wintertime, you know, the Visitors Bureau sits back and looks at new ways to redesign the website, create new content. So that's kind of where we're at right now, is creating new visual representation of the arts on the visitcarsoncity.com website. As you know, we've got an arts page that has links to visual arts, performing arts, literary arts, arts education, as well as our galleries and the art walk. So the gallery listing and the art walk, you're going to see a big visual redo of how that's presented. It's going to be a lot more photo-oriented. It's going to look really, really good. It's not just the arts. It's going to be all of those back pages on the Visit Carson City website, the blogs, everything like that. So we're looking at new visual representation of that, incorporating a new video that we just produced through the CVB called the CVB Art Walk. Probably come up with a catchier title for that, but it is live right now. But it is a great representation of the arts in Carson City. It interviews, you know, different people that are involved in it, different elected officials talking about the impact of it. It's just a great promotional video for the arts. The Art Walk Guide, which is the printed representation of what's listed on the website, is still a living, breathing thing. So as Mark expands the Art Walk opportunities to the museums and different things like that, so will the Art Walk Guide expand to represent those and list those as well. Right now, it's pretty much gallery oriented, but that was the original goal, and as we grow, plans change and goals change, so that's good. I just wanted to bring to your attention that a partner of the Visitors Bureau, the Downtown Business Association, has been going through their own marketing for the downtown, and they just released their art video promoting the arts for the downtown. It's actually called Jeff, Tell Us About Artsy Fartsy. But it is a video for the arts as a whole, with Jeff being the representative for the downtown art scene, and I got to say it's phenomenal. It's a really well done production. So I would encourage you all to go to either the DBA's Facebook page, where that video is living right now, or you can go to the Visit Carson City Facebook page, where you can see both the Art Walk video and Jeff talking about the arts in downtown Carson. So some really great content surrounding the arts just been released.
Talk about the calendar, because I came out of NEC.
Okay, so the Visitors Bureau does an annual calendar, a desktop calendar, and so that will be released. I believe it's going to be ready for tomorrow for the open house. Yeah. Okay, but it's a collection of all of the great images that have been taken by the Visitors Bureau over the last year, and quite a few of them are art-centric now, whereas in the past it was outdoor-oriented. But just because every year we've got new things that move to the top, this calendar is pretty art-centric, and then the community calendar is the final thing that we're working on, which in the past, the calendar was set up for people to go ahead and put their events on, and that was in order to save time for staff going out and finding all the events. As you know, it's a huge job. But some new functionality on our calendar that we have now, in order to really try to centralize the communication for events in Carson City, is we can now pull events off of calendars, off of other people's calendars, as well as their Facebook pages. So yes, we are still looking for events. We do still want people to call in and submit their events, their posters, things like that. We love it when people get their own account on our website and can enter their own events in directly into the website, but we know that missed quite a few people still. So now we're populating from other websites and Facebook pages as well directly onto the website. So that all in the name of really having a centralized community calendar that gets promoted outside of the community as well.
Good. I'll be looking forward to checking those. Any comments from the public? Okay. Future items. We've had a really long list, and some of them are out of date, I think. Do you have a new list for us?
The future is looking bright, but at this moment, I think there will be no future agenda items at present.
Yeah, I think the list that was provided from the city was very outdated, and I don't think any of them are showing up as requested future agenda items by not only the commission but the public. We've already talked about future agenda items for the March meeting. We'd be addressing now just future agenda items for the January meeting. And we have nothing to report other than we're going to come back, update you on all of the projects. In March, we'll come back with a draft form of the policies and procedures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Comments from public? Okay. If there were some items on the old list that you want to revive, let us know. Upcoming meetings are January 9th, the Visitors Bureau meeting, followed by the Cultural Commission meeting.
What time does the Visitor Bureau begin?
4 p.m.
4 o'clock with a drop dead of 5:30 to make sure that we can transition. So I'll wrap up that meeting about 5:20, which we've typically been wrapping up between 5 and 5:10.
And all of it here?
Correct.
Yes.
And now we have time for any other public comment. Hearing none, we'll move on to commissioner announcements.
So this is Terry McBride. I just wanted to update those of you who were not able to attend the American Indian Achievement Awards dinner at the Governor's Mansion. I believe that was on the 19th of November, and that was very well attended. It was a packed house, and that is the most money that Sherry Rupert has ever made in one night's fundraising. So I think it was in the ballpark of about $14,000. So, and thank you to the Visitors Bureau for sponsoring a table.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Anybody else? I would like to report on the Carson City Symphony. We had our holiday concert on December 11th, and that was also one of the best attended concerts we've had. And the Mile High Jazz Band Association had an election night performance and also a jazz and poetry in December, and both those were well attended also. It wasn't planned to be on election night, it's just that that turned out to be the second Tuesday of the month when they always perform. So I think the performing arts are attracting bigger audiences also, and Carson City's reputation as an arts community is thriving.
And on that note, I'd just like to comment, the culinary arts are thriving as well, and the Harvest Dinner was the most successful ever that benefits the Greenhouse Project. We raised $58,000 at that event. So it was huge, and the culinary students were fantastic, as were the Future Farmers of America leaders that spoke, and the girls that did their senior project. I want to give a shout out to Shaylin and Sophie, who did a fantastic job of marketing that event and went above and beyond in what they did and how they did it. So it was a huge event. Thank you to all who attended.
Terrific. Anybody else? Final item 13 is an action item to adjourn the meeting in record time.
I move to adjourn this meeting at 9 minutes after 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Yay. My husband isn't going to believe